What I want to do is I want to open the floor for a few minutes, and I want to give you a chance to, first of all, I want to start with a unique question. First of all, I want to ask you, I want you to shout these out for me. Tell me some things. If you could say this to your dad, there's one thing you needed from him, one thing that you just would have, if I could ask him, this is one thing that would have been really great to have. I wish I had more, fill in this blank. I wish I had more blank. Say the word. Truth. Raise your hand, commit your life. I want to see who's talking to me. What? Time, truth. What else? Raise your hand. I want to hear what you're saying to me. Yes. Communication. Yes. Wisdom. Yes. Yes. Love. Understanding. Yes. Him. Just him. Raise your hand. Who said it? Companionship. Yes. Laughter. Wow. How expensive was all this? Yes. Teaching. I want you dads to hear what people say. Nobody said a whole bunch of money. That would have been nice too, but nobody said that. I want you to know that's not the first thing that people think about. I've often said my kids rarely ever, when they get up, when they should work on this habit, when they get up to say things about me, they don't talk about tuition. They don't even mention it. They don't mention no student loans they don't have to pay. Thank all you student loans say, man. Y'all ain't helping the brother, right? I mean, they talk about spending time with me. That the things that are so simple, the things that you just heard are profound and amazing. So here's what we're going to do secondly. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you ask me daddy questions, okay? Things that you like to ask me. But I'm also going to let you, this is important, don't preach now, okay? Don't preach. Just kind of tell me what you liked in the sermon. There's a difference, right? So I want you to kind of tell me what you liked in the sermon, what part of it spoke to you so far. And I want guys to tell me, I want ladies and women to tell me. Because daughters heard me, right? Sons heard me, and I want to hear everybody's viewpoint. So mics are out, raise your hand. I want to hear what spoke to you in the sermon. I know this is new for some of you, like you're really going to talk to us. Yeah, this is church. Jesus did this. He talked to people. Come on, say amen. You hear me? He didn't just hide behind a sermon. He talked to people. So where are we at? Yes. Yes.
The mentorship part. I'm a single mom and I have 4 sons. Mm-hmm. And my sons are doing great, and mostly because they had great people around them. One of my sons who's doing the best had a one-on-one mentorship through a program in Columbia, South Carolina. Yay. And it wasn't geared toward, let me get with your mama. This guy actually mentored him. He was in his wedding. He was in Dwayne's wedding, and they're still great friends, and he's doing absolutely wonderful.
See, I believe that a mom, I'm going to tell you what my mom did, and I want to write a book about this. I really do. I've got a name called The Journey. I want to talk about what's it like to be raised by a single parent from my perspective. One of the things that she did right was she spent a lot of time with me, and she did not bash my dad, and she didn't. She had her own opinion. She may say a couple of sentences. There's a couple of things she'd always say, but outside of them couple of things, she just basically said, look, I'm not here to bash him, and she focused on what it was that she felt would help my life be okay. And I felt like I was important. And sometimes, just like there's a book called The Brain That Changed Itself, and it talks about how your brain rewires itself and neuroplasticity, how that if this part of your brain gets hurt, it kind of rewires and finds ways to make other things work. So I believe that's what happens naturally, that if dad's not there, God can help you provide. There are still gaps, but God can help you with tools like that. So well said, amen. Somebody else. Where's the mic? Where the mic's at, guys? Raise your hand. If you want me to make the statement over here, yes.
How do you break the mold when, like most fathers, they think just providing is enough? How do you, well, I know you can't make them, but from a daughter as well as a wife perspective, how do you get the fathers to understand that just because you live in the house with your kids and you provide for them, that's not enough?
I'm going to answer that, but Dan, I'm going to cheat. Come up here. I'm going to cheat. I'm sorry. I can answer that, and I have an opinion. But I'm going to let her. This is the third sermon. You haven't said anything in the whole series. Give her a microphone, guys, if you got one. Right here. Here. Let me borrow her mic. Let me borrow for just a second. Give your opinion. I want to hear. What's your answer to that question?
Her question was?
Her question is, what do you do if to convince a dad that he's more than a provider, that the tendency is to think that provision is all he's supposed to do. What would you say?
I think in our culture, the tendency is we give men the impression that that is their value. You know,
I'm gonna
we
sit on that. You go for it. Go, girl.
we give that impression that, you know, you just bring in the check, you just come on in, you know, and so that's the image that we feed to them, that that's where their value is. So what I tried to do in my relationship with Rick is to constantly let him know how important his time is, his attention is, his input, you know, verbal input. Sometimes it's like, okay, I've corrected them a couple of times, tag, it's your turn, you know. And so I told him just the other day, you know, how I'm just so grateful to have such a wonderful husband, a wonderful father, and to my children, and the big difference that would have occurred in their lives if he wasn't the kind of dad who actually spent time with them, encouraged them, loved them through flaws, pushed them, yet loved them through all their oops moments or whatever. The fact that he was just a present father, and how it made such a big difference in my children, which is going to impact grandchildren and great-grandchildren and so forth. So he's an example of something I just didn't have. My parents divorced when I was 4, and my mom remarried, but it was one of those provision kind of relationships. So that was all I saw. So I didn't really see the God kind of dad until I married him and saw him in action. So I'm just so grateful for him. So I'm thinking you it's something that you have to constantly let them know that their value is a whole lot more than financial provision.
Most men really thank you, Dan. That's great. Thank you. Yeah. It is our default feeling. And if there are things that women say, especially when there's financial pressure, that reinforce that. And, you know, and so when you're under pressure, you have to watch your words, because those words really are powerful. And I sometimes I would say in conversations, I want to just give an opinion. I said, that's not just an opinion, that's a seed. It's a seed that becomes part of what I will hold on to, because if you only celebrate when there's money, and you don't understand when I make a mistake, and I've made mistakes. I mean, I've made mistakes, and that's part of managing money and doing business. You just don't always get the right deal right. Say amen if you know what I'm talking about. But I hope that helped a little bit. Thank you. Sir, yes.
Yes, I wanted to refer to number 5 as fighting fear. I believe that as a father, my biggest fear is for my children to not be compatible outside of my home. So
you worry about your kids not being competitive outside the home.
right. So as a father, I don't want them to have the worst chance scenarios as I did. So I provided better opportunities for them. I think the end game as a father, but would you agree? It's more of a assessment than a question. But would you agree that the end game is, as a father over a household and a family, is to equip your family and your children to be able to be successful outside of your care, to be able to survive in this world?
I believe it is, but I got to be careful. Thank you. I got to be careful that that's not an obsession, that I'm not so obsessed with that I put a lot of pressure on them, and that I make them feel as if I define your value by how awesomely you're prepared for the world. Because I don't think that, even though I worked hard to prepare my kids before they got 18, I still am with them now. I don't plan on going anywhere. So we can prepare. I think we do a great disservice to our children. We make 18 the golden number. You got to be ready for the world. That is not the number. I'm sorry. That's not long enough. And I think that you have to say, you know, like Jesus said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you, right? Hang around when they're 40. Hang around. Take care of yourself. Walk 3 days a week, 20 minutes, so you can be around, so you can give input. Because I think that my adult input in my kids' life is probably more valuable than when they were younger, because now they got power to really do damage to themselves, because I'm not in control anymore. I hope that helps. Yeah. All right. Where are we? Right here? Yes. Try it again, brother. Just keep on. There you go.
Thank you.
There you go.
I was looking at number 2 where it says progressive. I think in my life and with my dad, I think forgiveness was a part of that progressiveness, being able to look forward There was one incident when I was a kid. We were out working, and I had this really bad thought. If something happened to my father, I wouldn't even cry. The moment I said that, an accident almost happened, and my heart just dropped down into my toes. And ever since that point, I think that was the initial seed of forgiveness in helping me to be able to move forward with the relationship with my dad.
Man, I'm going to tell you. So you reminded me of something. I was in London, and I was stepping off the curb, and the traffic goes the opposite way. And I just wasn't thinking. I'm thinking American. And I almost stepped, right into a car. Ricky Jr. grabbed me by my neck, literally by my collar, and he jerked me back out of traffic. And he said these words, "Not today." Yes, he did. He said, "Not today." I'm shocked because I almost got hit. He's the hero. And I mean, there are moments when, man, you took me back to that. Wow. Yeah. Those are moments when you see the value of trying to climb over the wall of foolishness. It's not worth it. Let it go. And then, his story may not be fair. He may have been a real jerk. He may have been terrible. But that's not the point today. He may have had wrong philosophies. He may have had whatever. But if you dwell on that, it's not fair to him. What can he do about the past? And if you were abused by him in some way, I understand the pain in that. And you got to realize that if you did that, you do lose some points here. Okay? If she know you did it, and I've had that situation where the daughter knew and he knew, and he lied, and he's lied about it, and he can't bring himself to just say, "I was wrong about all that happened to you," and that's it. He can't even say that. It's hard for him. But there's something in her that heals, and I've seen girls get healed through that. Just he said that, they worked it out. I had a case. I was horrified what she told me, and she he's a leader, and they worked it out. But that's what redemption's about. And sometimes you got to step over all that happened because you can't go back and fix it. See, here's the poison pill. I can't go back and fix it. So if I keep taking this pill, I die every day I think about it. And I got to interact with you. So, okay, what can we do? And this is the miracle of the cross. Jesus can heal. Come on, say amen. He can heal the broken heart. He can make it better. So, great story, great story. I'm going to do 3 more of these, and I got to run. 1, where's the other one? I got 2. Is that another one? Am I done? 1, 2. Are we done? Okay. 3. Is that it? I'm going for 3. I'm done. Okay, sir, yes.
Yes. You reminded me through your sermon in the aspect of being a father, learning how to be a father, saying that, okay, well, my father was half the time he was in prison, all right, and missing him and not knowing him in the way I should have known him, and growing up in the aspect, okay, well, that's my dad, he's in prison. Those sins in which he has committed or where his father has committed and so forth tinkles down to the children in that aspect. Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't understand my father's hurt until I was put in his position, meaning that my son, while I was in prison, never got a chance to allow me to be a fatherhood to him. What I'm sharing with you is that not knowing how to be a father.
Not knowing how to avoid what he fell into.
Right. Not knowing how to mentor, how to position yourself as a father head, because the word tells you that Christ is the head and the father is supposed to be Lord of all. Now, what I'm sharing with you is that I'm praying for the younger generation, even though you may not have been in the shoes in which I've been through, learning how to become more than a conqueror in your father's shoes.
Let me stop you there, brother, and say this. Can I just give him a big hand for that? That was phenomenal. Thank you, my brother. Let me just say this. Part of what's powerful about that is because it's true. If your father goes to prison, there's a greater chance you're going to go. Statistically, it's amazing. But part of that is more about pain being passed down from generation to generation. The same environment that got him there, generally you're in, and it gets you there. And so the question, and I love the part about not knowing how to, that's the issue. And so that's why you want to be a learning father, so you can avoid things. Well said, sir. Thank you. Somebody else. And we got one more, two more, and we're done. Yes. Three more. Okay, I'm done. Yes.
How can a teenager who lives with a single parent father have a better communication with him when there are financial problems, and majority of the time it brings tension?
Step over it. Money issues aren't going to go away. You can't let money separate you. Work together and fix it, rather than argue about it. That arguing about money never fixed anything about money. Working together to solve a money issue is what makes it work. And I mean, and you may think that I'm this rich guy who never had challenges, but I've had challenges too. And what's really funny is people say, you have a challenge? Yeah, I can have a challenge. But Diane makes a commitment to fight with me through those challenges, and we have. And so I'm thankful to say that that's part of the process. So fight together and don't fight each other. That's what I'd say. Where's the other one at? Right here? Okay, let's go this way out. You'll be last, okay? You'll be last. Right here, brother. And we're done. Right here, okay? And yes, go ahead.
It's on. Oh.
We'll bring you the microphone.
I heard your wife say about encouraging the man.
Mm-hmm.
So what if the woman, she didn't have a mentor, so she didn't know how to encourage the man through the marriage?
My answer to that would be very simply, I think that as a husband, you help her learn that. I think you help her learn that by communicating with her and saying, well, that doesn't really help. This might be more helpful. Because I think in Diane's case, that she said she didn't have one either. So she did her best. I think her mom even tried. I think her mom communicated well to you. And so there was a sense of effort. But, you know, every couple has to come to a place where they say, my generation had these problems. We're gonna cut the curse here. It stops with us. We're not going to cuss each other. We're not going to argue about money. We're not going to sit here and fight each other over issues. We're going to find a way to give 125% to her. She gives 125% to me. We said that before marriage, and we've kept that. We've tried hard to give to each other. You know, when she gets up in the morning, she makes up her side of the bed. I make up my side of the bed. She asks me, every day. She takes ownership of certain areas of my life. She asks me, do you have anything to eat today? She doesn't wait and hope I figure it out. She makes sure that if I have an issue, she gets in there with me. I get in there with her. It's all about trying. And so you have to teach each other. She has to teach me how to be the man she needs me to be, and I have to teach her how to be the woman that I need. That's something we do together. You know? So that's what I would say to that. Okay?
All right.
Thank you, my brother. Was that it? That was it? Okay. Where's the last sister right here? God bless you. Go ahead.
Okay. The part of the sermon, of the message that you had that touched me the most was when Joshua said, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. It wasn't one of the questions, but it was one of the things that I've always wanted. My father and mother were not married, so I had two sides. I had my mother's side and my father's side. My father really, he loved me a lot, and I loved him with all my heart. In fact, I idolized him. But there was one part missing, the serving the Lord. You see, because he didn't go to church, but my mother did. Okay, and they seemed like, and not that I was torn between the two, but I'm glad that my mother was there, but my father was there in other ways. He took me every place with him. I was taught his side of the family, his family. Every place he went, I would watch him because he was a superintendent, and he would do things. I'd watch him fix this and do things, even though I couldn't do it. But I still watched him, and I watched the way that he did things. And even though he wasn't married to my mother, he gave me a sense of value of one thing. He was a very, very particular person, and I'm that way. You know, he liked to dress really nice. He wore Stetson hats and big shined his shoes and stuff like that. Yeah. And I like that. And I believe I got that from him. But the part that I did not get from him was the religious part, or the part that I now understand for myself, even though I've not been able to do it, is for me and my house, I want to serve the Lord. I didn't even get a chance to do that with my son. Right. But by the same token, I understand it now, that it's very important to serve the Lord together as a family.
Let me say this for you, and I'm going to surprise you. I'm done for the day. I really got to get out of here. Part of what I grew up unchurched. I don't know if you realize that. I didn't go to church until I was like 15. So I have a different perspective because I went, but every now and pause. A little longer. I need another 5 minutes then. it was rare. I mean, 2 times a year, 3 times a year, and it was for 15, 20 minutes when I went. It was very short. I didn't stay in, I sat in very few church services. I don't remember, I did not have a church upbringing. My mother was a good person, but we prayed every day. We were spiritual people. I believe that in our hearts we love God. I just wasn't a church person. My grandmother owned a nightclub at some season in her life. We're party people. This is ladies' night. We were not church people. And sometimes you look at me and you'll get that you'll misunderstand that. So I understand that what you can do is misjudge the depth and commitment of a person. But Romans chapter 2, and I can't teach it today, but talks about people who have light, but they're not church people. They live by their conscience. There's a sense of right and wrong that they live by. And there are people that don't go to church that are more honest than people who go to church. There's some people that go to church, you loan them money, they'll never pay you back. And they'll use scripture to tell you why they can't. There's some people who don't go to church who are very honest. Most of you work for people who don't go to church. Most of you work around people who are not active in church. I don't like to make this comparison as if that somehow if you're a dad, back to the dad thing, that somehow you're less of a dad because you're not in this environment. I think this helps you become a better dad, but I don't think you're not a good dad because you're not here. If you're watching Dad, I want you to come on in the house now and hang with us. But I think church, and let me just elaborate 2 more minutes, church works against men coming. Church gets to be very feminine at times. We say things that men just don't normally do. Raise your hand. Grab your neighbor by the hand and say, I love you in Jesus' name. Brothers don't talk like that. So men who do come to church put up with us. You understand what I'm saying? Men don't have no whole bunch of formal stuff and long talks. Men don't have all that. Men would not sit any place this long. You got to have a really good reason to get a brother to come into a place and sit here real long. That's why some of you can't get a brother to come. If you ask a brother to come, he said, how long going to be now? How long is it going to be? And men don't like to be yelled at. They don't like to be fussed at. They don't like to be taught. You know what I'm saying? And then, there's a lot of things that men don't do. That's why most of the worship teams are not made up of men. You may get 2 or 3 brothers who's courageous enough to get up here. But that's why the choirs are filled with what? Thank you very much. Men don't eat much. In a lot of churches, they make the guys do ushers. But if churches have mainly men ushers, there's a whole different spirit about it. Come on down here. I mean, you go to church with this man, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm going to sit where you tell me. With women, it's different. Child, come on here. It's okay, baby. Come on into church. So glad you're here. Brothers don't talk like that. Stop, sit up, sit down, shut up. So I think church as an institution has to remember, number one, this is not the kingdom of God. This is where we learn how to live in the kingdom. And so I think sometimes good guys like your dad, who obviously was a good man, and I believe here's what's going to happen. We get to heaven, we're going to be surprised. We get to heaven, we're going to have some people in heaven, and you're going to say, I cannot believe that you are in heaven. Look, where is hell? I'm going to hell right now. Give me the elevator. I want to ride there. I need to go to hell. You cannot. How did you get in here? You didn't go to church. You didn't hide in the world. You said a few bad words. I heard you. Sorry if I mess up your theology, but it's God's kingdom, not mine. I ain't got no kingdom keys. Jesus died for all of us. Come on, say amen. Thank you. Thank you.